Hey everyone, welcome to Unwell and Unfiltered, the podcast where we talk about mental health, spill some tea, and remind you that it's okay not to be okay. I'm Arthi,
And I'm Via.
fellow humans navigating this wild thing we call life.
We think it's not only important, but essential to talk about mental health and shed light on resources that could be helpful for people going through tough situations. So, whether you're thriving, surviving, or somewhere in between, you're in the right place. We're all about keeping it unwell and unfiltered.
So buckle up and let's get into it. Today's topic is speaking love fluently, the 5 love languages. Diving in, we're going to talk today about what they are, how they influence our mental health, and how you can apply them to all kinds of relationships, not just romantic ones.
But, quick disclaimer though, not everyone fits neatly into one category. We've seen firsthand how learning love languages can improve relationships and just wanted to share our experiences with you all. I actually learned about love languages not too long ago. I'd say I found out about them back in 2021 when some coworkers were talking about them. I think on a 4 a.m. shift.
Wow.
Yeah, I genuinely had no idea what they were, let alone how to use them within my relationships. And the feeling that some people get reading about their horoscopes is what I'd describe the feeling of discovering what languages were.
Love is honestly such a beautiful thing. It's also a universal emotion that binds human beings together, whether it's through healing, transformation, or even creating connections that last a lifetime. Knowing how to receive and express love is one of the most important things in relationships. But what exactly are the 5 love languages?
I think we did talk about a bit about love languages in our last episode, but just to quickly review for those who don't know what they are, there are a total of 5 love languages. So the first one is words of affirmation. Words of affirmation is a love language where people can feel most loved through verbal expression of care, appreciation, and encouragement. It can look like giving compliments, sharing words of encouragement, and even offering validation. Words of affirmation can also help challenge negative self talk and support self esteem.
A few examples of words of affirmation could look like me trying to tell my partner and let him know things like, I love how you always take care of me, or I love how thoughtful you are, because I want him to know that his efforts um, are noticed. And not only with me, but also like everybody around him. And sometimes, honestly, I feel like a burden to others and my anxiety will kick in. So, hearing that verbal confirmation is something that's super helpful for me. Hearing from people that I'm not annoying and that they enjoy being around me helps me feel less burdensome. And with my partner, hearing him say things like he loves me and that like I'm not too much for him and that we'll face things together, it really means the world to me. But also with friends, hearing that they want to be around me and that they care about what I have to say and how I feel, it matters a lot to me. But you can also use words of affirmation for yourself, like, for example, saying things to yourself like, healing isn't linear, I'm doing my best, or I forgive past versions of myself who didn't know better.
I really love that because it's so hard put just giving self-love to myself through words of affirmation. I think negative self-talk is something that people can fall into extremely easy, especially if they make a mistake. I so for me, words of affirmation helps eases my anxiety. And to put things into perspective, I struggle with my anxiety a lot. I could be laying in bed, right, for example, and not being able to sleep. And despite being extremely tired, my brain loves to remember all the cringy moments and find proof, like micro proof of people hating me. I don't know why I even think about this because I genuinely don't care what people have to say about me, but I guess it's just the way my brain is wired. The hypervigilance just doesn't go away overnight, right?
Girl, I literally hear you, and I think that a lot of people can relate to replaying those moments where you could think of better scenarios after the fact, like after they happen. And I know that I can. But I really struggle with embarrassment. It's super uncomfortable for me. So when it happens to me, I try to immediately redirect my attention to something else. Because if I dwell in those moments, I'm going to start panicking because the anxiety takes over. So what is something that helps you when you're feeling that overwhelm or that anxiety?
Well, for one, screaming. I don't know. Like sometimes I just scream. Like we're not like at the top of my lungs because quite frankly my voice doesn't go that high. But I would like randomly call for my kids or just say my cat's name randomly like really loud to just like kind of shake myself of that feeling. But aside from that, when I'm feeling really overwhelmed, nervous, or I get too deep in my head, I sometimes lean on my partner as an anchor. Like just hearing him say stuff like, "It's okay. This is our first time doing this." Or, "Yes, babe, if you were a worm, I'd still love you." Like sometimes we just need that reassurance because hearing that helps pull me back to reality or at least lets me know that I shouldn't be so hard on myself.
Something funny is I asked my partner that question of, would you love me if I was a worm? And he just raised his eyebrow at me. And I was like, listen, if you were a worm, I would get you a little terrarium and I'd make it all nice. And I would look up how to take care of worms because I don't know anything about how to take care of worms.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like that. The only right answer to that question was yes, but let's say it's more of a platonic or casual situation, whether it's with friends or acquaintances, hearing them give me small compliments like, I like your hair or your outfit is so cute. It helps me feel more confident in myself, especially since like as I became a parent, that line between being someone's mother and being my own person still, it gets blurred like a lot. And that's where words of affirmation comes in because hearing things like that reminds me that I'm still my own person and I still have my own identity. And that leads me to the next one, which is acts of service, because in a busy, busy world, acts of service is the love language where actions truly speak louder than words. It looks like doing something helpful, showing up without being asked to do so, or even solving a problem. Just basically anything to ease the burden for someone or yourself because it reinforces safety, reliability, and support. So, what would you say acts of services look like for you?
So, like, my partner helps me keep track of if I took my meds. He'll check in pretty often. Like I'd say most days he checks in to see if I've taken them and he checks to see if I've eaten and things like that because I struggle with those kinds of tasks. Um, he also helps me find my things, especially if I'm like rushed or stressed. You know how like I don't know, my brain just like turns off and like I suddenly just don't know where anything is anymore and he just like swoops in and somehow is able to like find exactly what I need when I need it. um, but something else that's really huge for me is that my partner will take care of things that are gross because like I don't know, it's like a sensory thing for me where like I just have a really hard time dealing with things that are an icky texture. For example, like throwing out food in the fridge that has gone bad or like has mold on it. Like I oh, I just can't. Um And with my friends, sometimes we'll body double. So we'll set goals together and we'll work on separate things, but we'll do them at the same time, or even just being in the same room to help boost productivity. It helps a lot. But for yourself, it can look like scheduling and going to therapy, setting boundaries, and organizing your space.
I can relate a lot with the things you said because I don't know where anything is. And I need someone to help beat my brain sometimes. But you know what? I didn't even think about how you can go about having love languages with yourself because when you're trying to learn to love yourself, you have to really create a relationship with yourself. Self care, I feel like, is one of those things where we show loves love to ourselves. And maybe we can touch more on this in a future podcast about self-care. But essentially, when my partner brings me water without me asking, or even takes initiative with the shared responsibilities in the home without me having to do like constant reminders, that makes me feel so loved. And him considering things that I usually wouldn't communicate out loud, I feel like like it just speaks so loudly. And it's like
Mhm.
this deep appreciation. I'm never gonna sit here and like rave about how appreciative I am, but I will carry that with me. But
Mhm.
even if you aren't in a relationship or anything, I think acts of service is something that many people generally like appreciate.
Yeah, I agree. While acts of service is a popular one, another really popular one is receiving gifts. I mean, think about it. When you're going to an event, usually the norm is to arrive with a gift, but gift giving is not so much about materialism, even if it seems like it. It's more about the thoughtfulness behind the gift and helping loved ones or even yourself feel seen. So when people say it's the thought that counts, it really applies in this situation. In the past, I would put together care packages for my friends or pick me ups if I knew they were going through like an especially hard time. I see things out in the wild that I think someone in my family would like or that one of my friends would like, and I'll probably pick it up. I personally love art and stickers from a local shop or a local artist. Like, if someone is out in the wild and like thinking of me and getting me like a sticker or like art, that's something that like I'm a huge fan of. And like I love supporting local businesses and local artists.
I feel like it also doesn't really have to be like all lavish or expensive gifts either. Just like a sticker or just art, like those gifts are great. I feel like it can also even look like giving someone a homemade meal or making a craft or bringing them symbolic gifts that represent a shared connection, like souvenirs or inside jokes. I think recently my son gave one of his friends an empty Pringle can as a birthday gift. I don't know. I feel like to him, he was like, "Here's the drum," but I don't know. The minds of kids,
Oh, that's
yeah.
cute.
Like I feel like kids, they just do whatever. I wish I could just do that.
He like used his little
Yeah.
imagination. I love that.
Actually, you remember those like starter pack memes where it's like an image of four different things that represent a person?
Hmm.
Because, like, there was a time when I'd only give people, like, starter packs as a gift for funsies, and it'd be a box of things I associate with them. It could just be, like, headphones, a pen, a notebook, and maybe something ridiculous. I don't know, like a chicken that squeaks. But we'd spend some time laughing about it together, and, ah, man, I should bring that back, actually. I feel like I should do that again.
Yes, I definitely think you should. I used to do things like that too. And that also brings us to the next one, which is quality time. If someone's love language is quality time, they'd usually appreciate love and affection through undivided attention from their partner. Basically, that looks like giving undivided attention and sharing meaningful interactions. It builds presence, empathy, and connection. So, with a friend, this could look like getting some coffee together or even walk and talk dates and going on road trips or day trips, which personally, like, I love road trips and day trips. I think it's awesome, like, going with a person and like exploring a new town or something like that and like checking out what shops are there and getting some trinkets. Like, oh, it's just the best. um, or like also hanging out virtually is also an option. Like, you can watch a movie with a friend online or like play a game online. Like, I love when my friends will play games with me, like Mario Kart. Which also like I mean like you can also come over and play Mario Kart and also we could play Mario Kart virtually, which like 10 out of 10 way to bond.
Yes, I love playing video games like online with friends when I have the time and the mental capacity to do so. It's just like a great way
Mhm.
to unwind for the day. And I feel like in this day and age, hanging out virtually is more normal now. Not saying like it's gonna completely replace like human interaction outside of the internet, but I've definitely spend a lot of time hanging out with people virtually, whether it's like with friends, playing video games, or just working, or like just doing things virtually. Like I find all my events online, I find everything online. It's just the world we live in now, I guess. And I think I recall having conversations with people who spend lots of time on Twitch or like Discord, just chatting and talking with other people. So whether it's like playing video games or to discuss important topics, I think hanging out virtually is something that applies to how we connect in this day and age. I know some people have like their feelings about spending too much time using screens, but there's nothing wrong with connecting virtually, I feel like, especially if there's lots of distance.
Yeah, literally. I do think that excessive use of technology is an issue for a lot of people, and it can impact a person's life in a lot of ways, which I'd love to talk about in a separate episode. But everything in moderation and using technology as a means of connection, I think can be a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, I agree. I try to limit screen time, but it's just so hard when everything is related to a screen.
Yeah, no, I definitely totally hear you 100%. But for those who enjoy connecting in person or want to deepen their relationship with their parents, it could also look like asking a parent, by it, I mean like quality time, could look like asking a parent about their life stories over a walk, watching old family videos, or going through photo albums. I actually think that quality time is my parents' love language. I think it means a lot to both of my parents when I take time out of my day to like call them or go the distance to hang out with them since they live 2 states away from me. We just talk and watch stuff, and we'll maybe go out for dinner or like for my mom, she'll often make homemade Indian for me, and then she'll make extra for me to take home. Um, yeah, I feel like she thinks that, like, I don't feed myself, and she just gets really worried about, like, me not eating, and so she just, like, makes a lot of food for me, which, like, honestly, I can't even complain because my mom is a fantastic cook.
Yeah, her grilled cheeses, I still taste them. It's been years. But that's really sweet.
Yeah, but also for yourself, it could look like taking yourself on solo adventures or engaging in hobbies that you love.
I love taking myself and my kids, because I can't leave them by themselves, on solo adventures. I like going to random coffee shops and maybe even going grocery shopping. I know that sounds so lame. But there's this coffee shop near me that I want to check out. It's like this specific one. It's like an old church that they
Ooh,
converted into like a coffee shop. It has like stained glass, old furniture, antique stuff, coffee, homemade everything. And I'm like, this is great.
it sounds really pretty.
It sounds and it the from the pictures, it looks beautiful, but
Mm.
I'm still working my way up to it, maybe one day. But definitely felt when you suggested asking or talking to your parents about their life stories. I still remember my mom's eyes lighting up when I see her like reliving those childhood memories as she's sharing these stories with us.
Aw,
I know, she's so sweet. Like I usually don't ever like see her eyes light up like that, but when she's like reliving that story or that moment, she's telling it to me or my kids, I could see like it playing in her eyes and it's just like so genuine. It just feels like a breath of fresh air.
it like really matters to her that she can like share these stories with you guys.
Yes, and I think it's especially, when you were talking about how your parents' love languages is uh quality time, it got me
Mhm.
thinking like what is my I think gift giving is my mom's love language. Gift giving and like acts of service for sure.
That is interesting.
Yeah, but with that, coming in last, it's not always like all of these other love languages are great, but then there's physical touch. And physical touch isn't only about sharing intimacy, but it's also about feeling emotionally connected or even reassured through physical or close contact. It looks like hugs, hand holding, pats on backs, but definitely approach this one with caution because not everyone is comfortable with physical touch, especially myself, because sometimes people have trauma around physical touch or just aren't used to it, and that's okay. Because when welcome, physical touch can reduce cortisol and release oxytocin.
I think that, like, moments where physical touch is common, or more welcome can look like when you're hugging hello or goodbye, especially during emotional moments. And, like, friendly shoulder touches or back pats during encouragement can be great ways to show that, like, we're right there with them. With friends, linking arms while walking, giving high fives or fist bumps, or having like goofy handshakes can be great ways to demonstrate approval or validation.
Yeah, and it's really important to mention as well that everyone tends to have a primary and secondary love language, but this also changes over time or with context.
And while everyone does have their own way to show love and how they receive love, not everyone feels loved in the same way. And that's why it's so important to understand how we give and receive love, as well as understand how the people around us give and receive love. It minimizes miscommunication and can even strengthen bonds when used appropriately. I don't think everyone has one love language. I think that everyone has multiple, probably 1 to 2, maybe 3. Like, I think everyone has a couple.
I think I resonate with all love languages depending on the context, of course. Like I don't
Mhm.
want to be physically touched by a stranger. Actually
Mhm.
today in
Yeah.
Costco, someone like patted my back and I like froze because I was like, who is touching me right now? Like, this person came up to me as I was looking through the meats in Costco, and they were like rubbing my back, and I just
I think I think that's a really good point that, like, context is really huge, like, because you're not gonna and I also feel like, you're not gonna have the same love languages with everybody. I feel like love languages are gonna be different with, like, your parents versus your partner versus your friends, like, it's gonna be how you express your love towards different people is gonna be different.
yeah, like when she touched my back and was rubbing it, I like froze. I like entered my trauma response and I just stood there
Oh my
and she was
god.
still rubbing my back and I'm like, and
Uh.
I looked in the mirror and I was like, who is touching me? So I turned around and it's actually someone I knew. And she so
Oh.
I was like relieved that it wasn't a stranger, but it was definitely shocking because I'm like, why are you touching me?
Yeah, it was, like, not it was super surprising
Super
because at
surprised.
first you didn't even know who it
Yeah, and
was.
I don't even know, like, if I think I was really awkward after that, but it was good to see her. I if she's listening, hi Brenda. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and with that being said, we we went ahead and took a quiz to get an idea of what our love languages are, and I have my results, but what are yours?
So, for my chart, I got 30% for acts of service, 23% for words of affirmation, 20% for quality time, 17% for physical touch, and 10% for receiving gifts. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that words of affirmation isn't the first one, but I'm not surprised that it's like number two. Um, it really matters to me that I know that the people in my life want me around and that I'm not being annoying. Um, I'm also kind of not surprised, like, I know that everyone like, there isn't nobody has just, like, one love language, so I'm not surprised that, like, words of affirmation and quality time and physical touch are all super close to one another, because for me, it's pretty hard to pick between them, but also, like, I'm not surprised that receiving gifts is, in the end, it's the last one, because honestly, like, I'm a fan of giving gifts. I'm not really that much of a fan of receiving them. I mean, like, I like receiving gifts, I do, but, like, it's not that I'm not a fan of receiving gifts, but, like, for me, giving gifts is like, I don't know, like, I like being given the opportunity to help someone in my life feel seen, and I feel like I can do that by picking gifts that, like, people really resonate with, and, for me, when I receive a gift, I'm like, "Oh, like, cool, great, thanks." it's just I feel like for me, like, I put a lot of thought and I put a lot of meaning into my gifts, or I try to anyway. Um, but, I love being able to connect gifts to things that, I think will, that a person will be able to relate to or, like, made me think of them, and helps them really feel seen. But anyway, so what are your results?
Oh man. So for me, acts of service takes the cake with 33%. And I really love how our charts look so similar because I think in this day and age, with how chaotic everything feels, acts of service really makes the world a better place for you, me, and Joe, whoever Joe is. But I also got like 27% for words of affirmation, 27% for quality time, 13% for physical touch, and 0% for gift giving, which I do agree with. But I agree with a lot of things that you're like saying about receiving gifts. I personally love giving gifts a lot more. I have actually have trouble with my self-worth and feeling like a burden. So get receiving gifts just feels really nerve-wracking. Like I get really nervous when people give me things. And I actually just
Yeah.
learned recently that when you give someone something, something in their brain, like something psychology, something in their brain is like, you owe this person. You need to give them something back.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So when people give me gifts, I'm just like, oh snap, I need to give them like 10 things now.
I can kind of relate to that. Like when people give me something, I'm like, man, like I feel like I have to give them something that's like, especially if they give me something that's like nice, I'm like, okay, like now the bar has been set. Like now I have to give them something equally nice or nicer. Like,
Yes. And I'm like spending time thinking of things to give them. But reality is, just because someone gives you something doesn't mean that you need to give them something back. And I don't know if it's like if society wired our brains to do that, but we don't have to. And it just feels so weird not giving people things
yeah.
back. I don't know. That's why it makes me nervous because I'm like overthinking it now. And I'm like,
But what if that's not even their love language? That's like crazy to think about, right? Like we've been conditioned to kind of like do this thing, but like what if that's not even their love
that's what
language?
I'm saying. Oh my gosh, you're right. Like, what if, oh my God, do you think it's like performative? Like they're doing this like
I think there's a
performatively?
lot of things in society that are performative and that are done out of
Oh,
obligation.
you're so right. Because a lot of they're like small talk, for example, is the first thing that comes to mind. That's like
God, I hate small
I'm just like,
talk.
please, like, don't, let's not. Like, we could just be quiet. We don't have to say anything to each other. I don't care what you had for dinner. But it's just like the gift giving thing, though. It makes me nervous because I don't know if it's going to be thrown in my face later or if it comes with strings attached. So I just kind of avoid it completely when it's like receiving gifts. Like, I'm like, no, thank you. Even though I would
Mhm,
very much like that piece of cake, but I'm just gonna say no thank you. Because what if
mhm.
you bring it up 10 years later and then I can't uneat the cake? Like, what am I supposed to do? But but I think it feels safer when I'm accepting non-tangible things like acts of service or quality time or even words of affirmation. It feels much more freeing when I'm believed in and having people volunteer to help rather than me chasing people down to help or to see me. But, seeing my chart, it just makes sense how acts of service and words of affirmations are my top love languages.
No, yeah. I think that's why it's important to know someone's love languages and also our own love languages, because if a person's needs are unmet, it can lead to anxiety and feelings of not being enough and feeling unloved. Like what you shared about your feelings around receiving gifts. This can cause the brain to perceive a lack of support or security. Like with my parents, there have been some instances in the past where I felt like my parents don't love me. And I was convinced for a long time. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that my love languages and my needs were just different from how they express love and how they were conditioned to express love. Um, the ways that our family loves, especially our caregivers, and how they respond to our needs can shape how people approach love. And this goes into attachment styles, which we'll touch on in another episode. But I think that for my parents, they're showing love the best way that they know how, in the same ways that love was shown to them. So I mentioned my mom loves to cook for me and she gives me lots of food and she makes extra food for me. And I think that that's something that was big in her family and like in Indian culture too. I just think that like food is a really big way that like people show love. And another example that comes to mind is when I was younger, anytime my mom and I would get into a fight, instead of saying I'm sorry or anything like that, because that's like a really big deal. Um, but instead of saying I'm sorry, she would just like cut up some fruit and bring it up to my room and like just be like, here, have this fruit. And I'd be like, okay, thanks.
I wanted an apology, but thank you for fruit.
Yeah, like I'll take it, I
I
guess.
feel like I've seen a meme on this somewhere on the internet of like how Asian parents apologize. Like they don't say I'm sorry.
They
They
don't.
don't.
They don't say I'm sorry. They cut you up some fruit.
Yeah. But also when you can figure out what makes you truly feel valued and seen, it deepens the relationship you have with yourself and with others, but primarily with yourself. I mean, I feel like maybe sometimes people forget that you are your first friend. When you treat yourself as a friend that you don't want to be caught hanging out with, it warps how you perceive yourself. And knowing your love languages helps you understand how to love yourself and be a good friend to yourself. And if I'm being honest, I have struggled so deeply with this because as a recovering people pleaser, learning my love languages was the best thing that has ever happened to me. I've put everyone above me just to keep the peace, and it's damaged my relationship with myself in so many ways. It's just like I'm ready to leave the party, but people pleaser me is like, no, you're not ready to leave the party because if you leave now, then everyone's gonna be upset and hate you. So you're gonna stay at this party that you
Mm,
don't want to be with. But
yeah.
but not pouring into my cup has also taught me that I don't matter and my needs don't matter. But as long as everyone else is happy, I should be happy. But I wasn't. And did you know that people pleasers can struggle a lot with their anger?
Girl, actually, I can so relate. I feel like when I was younger, I struggled with people pleasing a lot, but then around like when I was like younger, and then around when I was like high school and around like college, I like actually started getting angry. Um, and around then was when I kind of started to think about what like authenticity really meant to me and how I could be my most genuine self. And like I started to pursue that. Like actually and genuinely, I started to like really think about like what it meant to be me. And like I just started chasing like my self-love journey and like this healing journey. And like, yeah, it's been huge. It's been huge in helping me with like people pleasing too. I think that like that anger, I'm also trying to learn that like that anger is not necessarily a bad thing. Like that anger is my friend and it's telling me that like something is wrong and that like I'm being disrespected, you know?
Yes, I actually saw somewhere it was like anger is your anger loves you the most because of the reasons you mentioned. It lets you know like something's wrong, something's off, you that you're being disrespected, anything. And
Yeah.
it's like fighting for yourself, your place, your space, right?
Yeah.
We
That's so real.
Yeah, and I've struggled a lot with my anger. I don't know if like listening to the music I listened to when I was growing up. This does that it was me like expressing my anger without expressing my anger, but
Me too. The
yeah,
little screamy
the
screams.
little screams, especially when they go raw like that, I felt like outside of learning how to be my own friend, I feel like I view my relationships in a different light now. just instead of feeling scared of the unknown, there's just so many things that are unknown. Like when you're trying to connect with others, you may find emotional gaps in your relationship, but knowing this all gives you awareness to bridge that gap. So you and your partner or your mom or your dad or your sister, cousin, uncle thing feels loved together or individually.
I feel like sometimes relationship wounds come from feeling emotionally neglected. And by understanding love languages, you can understand how you're expressing love versus how you actually feel loved. You can use that to repair any kind of relationship, honestly. But I do just want to recap that love languages are tools and not labels, and using them can improve emotional health and relationship satisfaction rather than categorize.
And that's so real because it really is a tool. And I found that understanding my love languages and my partner's love languages has helped to strengthen our bond a lot over the years. I mean, 10 years together, having kids, it's just a lot of our relationship now is talking about the kids, worrying about the kids, and trying to figure out how to build a better life for ourselves and the kids. And it's just like with all of this in the forefront of our mind, connection with each other has just been placed on the back burner naturally. Maybe this is something that a lot of parents go through too. And that's where a lot of our relationship conflict takes place. He'd want to spend time together watching movies, but I'd be so stressed about all the responsibilities we've had left undone. There's dishes, there's clothes, there's toys, there's I don't know, leftovers. There's just so many things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard for me to relax until I got it done because how can I relax if it's undone? There's still so much to do. So he'd
Mm-hmm.
watch, so he'd, so he'd spend time watching his movies, for example, and I'd spend time trying to get the work done so I can join in and relax. But this leaves our needs to be unmet. I felt unsupported because he didn't help me and he felt like we weren't spending enough time together, so he'd push for more time spent, but I'm overwhelmed with everything else going on, and that's the gap that we were facing. But by the time
Mm-hmm.
we sat down and discussed how we were feeling, it felt like we're unloading rather than connecting. Because I'm like, you didn't do this, and he was like, well, you don't love me anymore. Like it was just this whole thing, and that's where
Mm.
defensiveness comes in and blaming and all that stuff. And over time, we talked to each other about these gaps and we had those like hard conversations about love languages and what was important and what's important to me and what's important to him. And it was as if we filled those gaps we needed and now we complete each other in a way. So we tackled the chores together and then we'd have time to sit down and watch movies together. And this brings us back to how things were in the beginning of the relationship, where we just spend time together watching movies, except it's not on his crunchy laptop anymore and it's on a TV now. But man, that glare on his laptop was brutal. I was just, especially, you ever seen movies where where the movie was dark, but the glare was so bad that it looked like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Yeah, rough
Rough
times.
times. It was like 380p or something. It was like, good thing we have, what is it, 1100 something p now?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's high quality, high definition. And we have 3D in the house now, right? Is that a thing? 3D? Remember those glasses we had to wear in the movie theaters? Is that
Yeah,
still a thing? Or
that is still a
are we
thing.
old?
We are old.
But
The glasses changed. They're like black glasses now. They're not like the red and blue.
okay. Yeah,
So we are old.
I used to pop the lens out thinking I was super cool. Like, yeah.
I forgot that was a thing.
But yeah, if anything, I'd even go as far as to say that, we look forward to the kids going to sleep so we can spend more time enjoying each other's presence. But with that being said, have love languages improved your relationship in any way, whether it's with your partner, friends, or even family?
Yeah, with my partner, it's been incredible, because he actually has been incredible with my love languages, even though we haven't really talked about them. He's like picked up on it and like he just takes care of me really well. Like in the beginning, I think we kind of struggled, but over time, he really learned like how to take care of me and like what I really need, in so many different ways. And like, I know to my parents and my grandparents, just spending time with them means a lot. I think they feel lonely, you know? So even though they're far away and like they don't come my way very much, I try to make an effort to see them and spend some time with them. My grandma tells me all the time that I don't call her enough though, and like I do feel kind of guilty about that. I should probably call her more. Um, but also just noticing things that people do. So like my mom enjoys cooking for me and getting me food. So like if I enjoy her cooking, I'll just let her know that like the food she made was yummy. And sometimes in the past, I used to get frustrated that like she would give me so much food because like she would fill up a whole big grocery bag full of food and like we buy our own groceries. And like when I have too much food in the house, of course it's going to go bad. It's just me and my partner in here. And I just then like not only do I feel bad about the food going bad, but also that like my partner has to deal with it because like I said earlier, like when things get icky, like I literally like I can't deal with it. He deals with it. Um but now I just kind of try to adjust. And I think also like my mom has also adjusted. Like she gives me less food and like I happily, will take the food that she makes and like I try to eat it and like, I do my best and she does her best and we try to meet each other in the middle. Because I do enjoy her cooking and I think it makes her feel good to just contribute to my life in some kind of way. And I think that that's how she shows her love is through cooking.
Yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from. Even with my own family members, I feel like we're still working on it. I understand them a bit better now that we kind of discussed it, not really, but it's been assumed. I don't know. I don't think we talked about it. I talked about it and my mom didn't really listen, but I tried. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't go as far as to say that we fully understand each other though, but I can kind of see some improvement of from how things were like when I was in high school compared to now.
Hey, that's real. And like, listen, you tried, and that's all we can really do is try. Um, Sometimes all we can really do is take it one step at a time. But since we're on that note, if you were to change anything differently about how you give or receive love, what would you start doing today?
Today, I think I'd want to find some balance to not completely abandon myself. And I've done that a lot, like in the even like the last month or so. Sometimes you can't change other people,
Hmm.
even though like if they just made this one correction, things would be so great for you and everyone around them. But you can't change them, and there's nothing you can do to help them see something that they are completely blind to.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you need to sacrifice yourself to try to put out their fire. They need to put out their fire themselves.
Yeah. Sometimes distance is like needed, and sometimes you got to put space, in those situations.
Yeah, definitely space. So I've put a lot of space between me and family member. And
Yeah.
just like lots of space. Like we can take a break. We don't have to do this.
And honestly, I feel like sometimes like those ups and downs are healthy. Like sometimes when you guys are butting heads, sometimes that space is healthy and needed. And then when, you know, when everyone's able to be respectful to one another, then you guys can come back.
Yeah, I am still working on it. I don't wanna be like I wish things weren't like this forever, even though, like, I know, like, their frontal lobe is fully developed and there's not much to do at this
Yeah.
point, like
Some people won't change, and at
no.
that point, it's like, you gotta put yourself first.
Exactly, that's why I'm like, I need to find balance to not completely abandon myself because it's only gonna drive me insane, and then I that's gonna trickle
Mhm.
down to the next generation and then the next generation, and it's
That
just
generational
yeah, I'm
trauma.
trying to pass on generational blessings. I don't know.
That's so
Whatever the
cute.
opposite.
Oh, generational blessings. I
Yeah, I
love
should get that
that.
on a shirt.
Yes.
It's I mean, it's just like you can understand someone's love languages really well, but if they don't even learn yours or even care to understand what yours are, you can find yourself in a dynamic where you're constantly giving and never receiving. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, what about you? Like, what would you do
I
differently?
think for me, honestly, just keeping love languages in mind more because I think love languages can impact your expectations. And so, keeping in mind what my family members' love languages are and my partners and my friends can help me be a better person to those that I care about. But like you said, also knowing your own love languages and making sure that your needs are met is so important in making sure that there's balance so that it's not all like giving and no receiving, like you also deserve to have your needs being met. I think that balance, that point you made about balance is a super good point.
Yeah, balance is great. And I think that's something that is going to continue for the rest of my life. Just always finding balance and structure and
Hmm.
routine. It's one of those things that's always changing as you
Hmm.
grow and learn new things and get new information and perspectives.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we'd love to know, how do you feel most loved? So go ahead, drop your answer in the comments section. If you feel more comfortable sharing your answer with us directly, feel free to DM us at any time.
And if you're not sure about what your love languages are, that's totally okay too. There's this great website where you can take a short 30-second quiz, and it should be able to help you better understand about your own personal love languages. We'll throw the link in the description for you. But if you're on the go right now, the website is called five, like the number five, fivelovelanguages.com.
I've also read a book on it, and one thing that's really cool about this book is that it's almost kind of like a workbook journaling situation. It does have questions you could answer and self-reflect on. They do mention God and things like that, but if that's not something you align with, you can just answer the questions in a non-secular fashion. I've also included the link to the book if you'd like to check it out for yourself in the description below.
I think it's so powerful when you start noticing not just how you give love, but how you like to receive it, and realizing that you can actively love yourself in the ways that feels good to you is such a game changer.
Absolutely. So, whether it's words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, receiving gifts, or physical touch, just take some time this week to notice how you feel most loved and how you show love to the people you care about.
And remember, it's okay if it takes practice. Relationships and even self love aren't perfect, but understanding love languages gives you a language to speak love fluently, even when it feels a little messy.
Yeah, thanks for sitting with us today and exploring this topic with us. We hope it gives you a little clarity, a little inspiration, and maybe even new ways to show love to others and to yourself.
So that's it for today. Thanks for listening to our unfiltered thoughts, and see you guys next time.
Bye.